I'm actually an Explainer alumni, so I used to be an Explainer, and that was an amazing experience. And yeah, I studied mechanical engineering at City College in Harlem, originally from Queens, and I currently live in Denver. And yeah, my experience has been more on the structural analysis aspect, particularly for jet engines, working at Pratt & Whitney, and now I'm currently working at Siemens Digital Industries Software, where I support customers like Pratt & Whitney, GE Aviation, pretty much anyone aerospace, and help them improve their processes and work more collaboratively. And yeah, just like a little bit about how I got here. The New York Hall of Science helped a lot for sure. Like I've been exposed to science and like space for so long, and the New York Hall of Science definitely opened up my mind to different career paths that I could take. I remember meeting 4 astronauts actually when I was like a few years into my explainer experience, and I remember them telling me, I was asking them, I was like, hey, how could I be like you? I want to go to space. And I remember them saying like, oh, you guys should all be engineers. Like if you're an engineer, then you're probably guaranteed a job no matter where you go. So that's my story. So when I think about STEM skills and my job, I'm definitely going to get nerdy here and talk about college. So in college, you know, we learned a lot about materials and how the closer you look at a material, you can start to understand why it behaves a certain way. And we did a lot of lab testing and things like that, and kind of like looking at data and drawing conclusions from them. So I would say that the STEM skills that I utilize the most in my role today are definitely analytical, and then also like critical thinking and figuring out if there's a faster way to do something, so creativity comes into there. So it's been different since I have had 2 big jobs after college. When I was working in the jet engine industry and working on actual hardware, I was interacting with design engineers because they're the ones that are in charge of you know, like tolerancing in the design and giving us the drawings that we need to run our analysis. So I was working with them. And then there are also project engineers, which have a bigger picture understanding of, you know, our timeline, what's going on, what field issues are there that we have to handle. So they kind of like keep us in check in terms of like schedule, budget. And there are also other disciplines that are very important that I didn't interact so much with, but there are thermal engineers that give us our boundary conditions so that we understand like what kind of temperatures are critical in the engine and like, you know, how they're going to affect the structure itself. And yeah, I would say though that in my role as a structures analyst, it is a very like, you're kind of like on your computer all day focusing on your analysis. You do get to interact with people, but not as often as like, say, like a project engineer would. And then in my current role, it's different because now I'm supporting customers. So it's kind of like I'm a mentor to my previous role. And so I'm working with customers who are structures analysts, and they ask me questions. And then who else do I work with these days? I also work with developers because I'm working for a tech company now that's trying to empower those engineers to run their analyses more effectively. So I'm kind of like the in-between person. The customer will tell me, hey, like I need the software to handle this feature better because, you know, it's failing and we need to be faster. So like, then I'll take that information and I'll translate it, talk to a developer and say, hey, like our customers are looking for this improvement. This is why we should prioritize this over that and stuff like that. And I think that in my current role, that's pretty much it. Definitely a lot of the opportunities that I've gotten, a lot of the exciting opportunities that I've gotten have been from someone who, you know, someone who I met like years ago, who I just knew and they recommended me and I ended up, you know, getting it. I also wanted to add that for me in college, I learned a lot from students around me and organizations like what was it called? You know, like LSHEP, which is the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. Without them, I don't think I'd be here, to be honest with you, because they're just a network of students. A lot of them are already graduated, very deep into their career, but they're constantly giving back. And yeah, so from that conference and from that organization, I learned how to like sell myself at career fairs and what I needed to have prepared to, increase my chances of getting an opportunity. And also in college, just like being friendly with everyone, like don't, just make friends because people are always there trying to help you out. Sometimes they've been through that experience already and they have shortcuts. So totally, I know in the beginning it's hard, it's a new place, you might be shy. I was that way for sure. But as I started talking to previous students, it just helped me a lot. It helped me prepare and it helped me get to where I am today, for sure. So going back to the joining organizations, very important in engineering, and there are a lot of them. There's ASME, there's a bunch of minority organizations that you can join. It's a great opportunity for you to meet people, that might have shared experiences with you, but also they're the people who are going to be there with you out in the field when you're hustling, you're trying to get those internships. And yeah, so like for me, that was huge. I got Boeing at the SHEP conference, and what was I going to say about that? I wanted to give you a pointer. Okay, yeah, so basically it was very competitive to get Boeing. Everybody wanted Boeing. I remember the line was like out the door and down the long hallway. And I was like, there's no chance, but you know what? Let's try it because that's what you got to do. You got to try it. And I remember when I spoke to the recruiter, I had done something different than before because before I was just kind of like going through my resume saying like, hey, this is why you should hire me. I have all of these experiences. I'm perfect. Or, you sell yourself. But I tried something different this time because I was like, I don't know, Boeing's really big. Like, I need to take a chance. So I remember that in that interaction with the recruiter, I just talked to him like he was my friend. Like, I was just trying to learn about him, trying to learn about the company. I asked him questions about volleyball because I love playing volleyball. So I was like asking him, like, hey, is there ever an opportunity to like play with colleagues in like a league? And I remember that it was just like a fun conversation. It was just like like a person to person like a fun conversation. So my tip there is don't always just focus on like selling yourself, but also try to show people when you come across a recruiter that you're a human too, that you have interests, that you have things that you're looking for at these companies. That's important. And people see that and they're like, okay, like this person, they want to grow with us kind of thing. So all the conferences, make friends, join the organizations, learn about those conferences. That's where you're going to get those really good internships. And then another thing, which is beautiful, Joy, you kind of already said it, Google. Like if there's a subject in school that you're like, wow, that's really cool, I want to know more about that. Google it, look on your school's website, look for these opportunities and just apply. If you're interested in it, just apply to like 30 of them. And yeah, that's how I ended up getting an opportunity to do material science research by just doing that. And then also by having a connection actually at the Muir Hall of Science. And so like that just touches on like, do your research, but also leverage your connections. Very important for sure. I just wanted to remind everyone that if you do end up entering like a very technical field, you're gonna find that not a lot of people look like you. Um, or depending on who you are, you might stand out a lot, but I just wanted to give you a reminder that diversity is so valuable and everybody's perspective is important. And companies are really pushing for that because they know how important it is. Like at the end of the day, engineers are designing the world that's around us. And that should be representative of who's in that world, right? Or else you're going to have blind spots that are going to affect people maybe in negative ways. Who knows? So yeah, you're so important. And even if you don't feel like it when you enter that world, just remember that. And that's it.